some big companies wanted them back. They needed a soldier. So they hired Hitler. And his job was to go east, start that two-front war. The reason for it was to get the oil wells back. And I think we all know who's still in the oil business, including Royal Dutch Shell. And some very famous, long-forgotten British billionaires like Mr. Detterding, who gave Hitler 30 million British pounds for his campaign contribution, even though he wasn't German, I don't think. He was Dutch. And they did a good job on his country. Anyway, that's the long and the short of it. Well, let's look at some of the symbolism of the Olympics. If we can zoom in on the screen there, Blue, I think everybody saw the big show. And, you know, we see the 4 giant penises there in the center stage. Nobody really questioning why they're there or looking at them rather strangely or whatever. But it's just a good thing we have some people in our forum. This is the Cross of Henday. That's what these 4 giant sticks are for. They point in the 4 directions of the compass. You know, we have Horus, Osiris, an ark, and an ark. Horus, of course, is the son of Osiris. He's supposed to have been put together by some rather dubious means of amputation of penis, thrown in the Nile, eaten by fish, restored by some magic and given a gold one. But and then baby Horus is born, with one eye being the sun and one eye being the moon. The Cross of Henday, even though that's a little tiny thing, you can look it up on the internet. It's on the Spanish-French border. It has inscriptions in it, inscriptions of prophecy about what's going to happen at the so-called termination of time in the world. Very interesting light reading. It kind of goes in Dutch with some of Nostradamus's predictions. And then we talk about that ark, the ark and the moon. And then when you see the ark and the moon, you see very well how we've been seduced. An ancient mystery religion is introduced into this ceremony at the Olympics. There's the left eye of Horus with the ark taking you up, just like it is at the Cross of Henday. But they don't tell you that. You'll never learn that from mainstream media. And that's why you have to listen to me, so I can tell you some of those things, and you can come to understand it. So on this cross, they talk about when hundreds die at the hecatomb. The hecatomb is pretty much synonymous with the Olympics. It's a Greek word for sacrifice or slaughter, and they talk about the games of the hecatomb. And the Olympics were originally violent games. They weren't anywhere near what they are today. And the dead overcome their graves. This is a sign and symbol to all. The autumn hour draws near, when all will perish and be destroyed. Nostradamus has a very similar type of thing, talking about the slaughter hecatomb. The year of the great 7th number accomplished, 7 seals as I understand it in another book. It will appear at the time of the games of slaughter, hecatomb, not far from the great millennial age. That wasn't too long ago, was it? When the buried will go out from their tombs. So it appears a lot of people are on the page, except a lot of our leaders. They're not on the page at all. They kind of cheat. Great book written on this cross. It's probably available too. The Mystery of the Cathedrals. In French, Le Mystère des Cathédrales. It was written in 1926. A lot of great people seem to want to go to see that cross. Let's see here. I know one was Adolf. You know, you never forget his name. And we have Louis the 14th. He went there. Wellington passed through there. You know, he even had a base there. It's quite the tourist attraction, to say the least. But this book has been reprinted, as I understand it. May even be available in its original form on Google Books. Carl Jung devoted a good part of his life to look into this cross and some of the machinations around it. So it seems like a lot of people, you know, of the elite rich or rich and famous, seem to be on the front page of what's going on. And it's just like there's an enormous battle happening that's been going on all through the ages. And unfortunately, the great unwashed, us, are never really informed or kept abreast of these things. And we just have to suffer in silence and deal with what we think we understand, never really fully being informed. So let's see if we can inform you a little bit. This was the picture I was referring to earlier, if we can blow that up there, Blue. This is what Google did on the day of the death the luge skier. And, you know, I just found that to be in very poor taste, to say the least, because I do think it was international news going around the world that everybody could see that. So we see the blue thing around his head. You know, I guess that would be the goggles, but it could also be like a blinder, that he's blinded not to be able to see. We also see two straps above the knee of the same color, and some people look at that and see, you know, that it's like he's bound and he can't get up. He's trapped in something that he can't participate in, and those little round circle buoys on the distance are all the satellites, so that you know, this image will be sent around the world for all to see. And you know, it's just, like I say, in very poor taste, but just the way the New World Order works, I guess. Let's see here if I got another picture. Let me get my code there for this guy's thing. It might be on one page back. You have to bear with me because I didn't have the usual startup time that I normally have to get everything all set up for you. But when this chap was in this nasty accident, time stopped for him and pretty much for everybody else, because when we look at the clock in this stopping of time, we make no mistake that, you know, something terrible happened. All the numbers come up. There's common numbers that are used in numerology. In the ancient languages, numbers and letters were interchangeable, and that's pretty much the same thing in Hebrew and such. Let's see, I might have to search his name here so I get back my stuff. There was just so many images this week with the ships. There we go. Time stops, because the picture is worth 1,000 words. So this is our chap here, blue, hurtling to his death. None of the graphic ones there. This is the picture where time stopped, where he's flying through the air. And it's just absolutely amazing when you look at the numbers. There's two athletes with their times. This is the time of the previous athlete. His time is 47:186. And when you break that down numerologically, of course, the 4 and the 7 is 11, the 1, 8, and 6 work out to 15, and 1 and 5 is 6. Ergo, you have a reverse and upside down 9/11. Nostradamus was very particular about one of his prophecies. Is you know, it was supposed to be in 1999, and everybody thought he missed the shot about this World Trade Center event. But what they didn't take into account, and what researchers did later, was realize it was inverted. It was upside down, and when you turned it around, it did work out to the way it was supposed to be. The time in the lower right corner here is 48:9. 4 and 8 is 12. 1 and 2 is 3. And then you have the 9. You have an inverted 666. Time stops very well there. And then up at the top corner, you have his speed, 144.3 kilometers per hour. Very accurate gauge of the speed there. And of course, the 1, 4, and 4 add up to 9, and the 3, again, another inverted 666. So all the devil markings are all over this time as it stopped, and the times of the athletes. And you just have to admire the New World Order for this. When we look at the news about the crash, like, it's come clean that they knew in advance that this track was unsafe. Some time ago, people were complaining about this. And did anyone care? Did anything get done to rectify this problem? No, nothing. There were complaints it was too fast, too long. In the practice runs with other athletes, there were accidents, several of them, and the same thing, nothing was done. They allowed it to happen. This fellow even had some, you know, bad premonitions about things happening to him. Did they do anything about it? No. So we have to wonder, was it planned all along to be like this? Was this one of the crosses that we were talking about? Because when we look at the picture of his funeral, it looks pretty much like a red cross. The true cross, plot number 1. Maybe Mr. Biden was the Diamond Cross.